Happy Saturday, everyone that is watching. I am so glad to welcome you to another relationship ministry seminar. Listen, I'm going to bring on our host for today, and then I'm going to just get on out of the way so that you all can have this discussion together. Dr. Tiffany, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for stepping in for our original host who had an emergency and couldn't do it, but I am so glad to have you. Listen, I'm not even going to introduce you. I'm going to let you take care of that and introduce everybody, but just greet everybody really quick, and then we're going to pay these bills and throw up this commercial, and then I'm going to let you all loose and I'm going to get out the way.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for joining us. Don't forget to drop your questions in the chat so that we can certainly get to them. I'm excited to be here, so let's just hop right in.
All right. Well, we'll be right back with our panel after this real short commercial.
My name is Pastor Paul Graham, and my wife and I serve a predominantly young adult congregation, and today we want to share with you a ministry that was birthed in our hearts some time ago, a ministry called Advent Mingle.
Advent Mingle is a Christian dating site geared to single men and women of all ages who are seeking to meet others who are Christians, searching for companionship, and a community for fellowship.
Several singles we were amazed to know that many Christian singles subscribe to secular dating sites. Though there were several Christian sites, we wanted to create one that would not only match individuals by their preferences, but also by their ministry.
What if there could be a Christian dating site that offers resources and promotes wholesome activities without compromising standards?
What if it were more than just a dating site? What if it were a tool which helps individuals become whole in Christ?
This is what makes Advent Mingle unique: ministry.
As a growing and fairly new ministry, we wanted to add a monthly live Q&A on our online ministry site called Advent Mingle Live, where individuals can watch or call in and be a part of the dialogue.
So why the name Advent Mingle? Advent speaks to an arrival of something long awaited, and also noted as a season that ends and prepares for a new beginning. Our vision is to help individuals form partnerships and help prepare them for the arrival of something long awaited, preparing them for their season, a new beginning.
We recognize that many singles subscribe to sites ranging from $19 to $60 a month. Our cost is $7 a month, a number which symbolizes fullness, completion, and perfection.
Join us today at Advent Mingle, where your ministry and match is just one click away.
The Relationship Ministries Department of the Allegheny East Conference is a family of ministries that seeks to engage, enrich, and empower families, men, singles, couples, and parents to have healthy and whole relationships. To access the many resources we have available to you, your church, or your family, visit us on the web at www.visitaec.org/relationshipmin.
All right, good afternoon again, everyone. I am so excited that, we have this great panel for this conversation today. If it's one thing I know about our panel is that they all tell the truth and they keep it 1,000. So I think you guys will all appreciate that. As you know, this is a part 2 to a previous conversation on this topic of Unfiltered, a conversation between singles. And so we are happy that the Allegheny East Conference Relationship Ministries is brave enough to bring us back. And so we are happy to be here. So why don't we have everyone introduce themselves and then we'll hop right into the discussion. Pastor Kim, do you want to start off?
Yes. Can you all hear me okay?
We can hear you guys.
Okay.
You can just raise your volume a little if you want, but we can hear you.
Okay. So, Pastor Kim here from Wichita, Kansas. Also the founder of the Love God, Love Sex movement. It's a ministry for women where we learn to love God, love our bodies, and love sex without compromising our faith. And again, I'm excited to be here for part 2. Looking forward to great dialogue.
Awesome. Leo, do you want to introduce yourself to the people?
Sure. My name is Leo Smart, educator, lifelong learner, and veteran single.
Veteran single. I like that.
Then
we will introduce our new guest to the panel who's joining us for part 2. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
All right. Well, I think I'm a veteran as well. But along with that, Gamal Alexander, I pastor here in Southern California. Do other things as well. Wear a couple of different hats. And I'm sure some of those will come out during the course of the conversation. I am a chaplain. I'm an author. I'm a coach, consultant. All that and more, and I'm happy to be here.
All right. Well, why don't we start off the conversation here?
Sure.
What do you all feel like the biggest misconceptions around singleness in the church as adult singles, as Christian singles are? Specifically as like an adult single woman, as an adult single man, what are the biggest misconceptions?
Okay, I'll go first.
Yes.
Um, that singleness is not a gift, but a curse.
So you view singleness as a gift.
It is a gift. Some
All
have
right.
it. For some, it has an expiration date. Well, I guess we all. It's everybody expires. So I guess it does. But some remain single for the rest of their life, while others are just for a season.
Okay.
Misconceptions. I think the biggest one that I've encountered is that somehow singleness equals misery, and I don't know where that one came from, but I know it's out there, and it's the driving force behind this constant movement, this constant pressure to link singles with somebody, to hook somebody, to hook the singles up. Because if you're single, then you're missing something obvious. You're somehow not living your best life, and so let me help you. And for many people, that couldn't be further from the truth. Even if they want someone in their lives, still doesn't mean they're miserable without having someone. There's a big difference.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%, especially the constant hookup, the constant introducing to more and more people, because you must not be happy or
You
fulfilled
can't be.
if you are single.
Right.
So I certainly feel you guys on that. With these misconceptions, you all are raising some really important points. Do you feel like there are unique needs of single individuals in the church? Or do you feel like kind of we all have the same needs regardless of our relationship status?
Mm. So that one's almost a minefield to begin with, because what we're doing is grouping everyone in the church in the same category, whereas everyone in the church is going to have individual needs. Christian is not a monolith, and Adventist is not a monolith, and so how do I meet a need for an entire group of people with just one thing? That's going to be difficult, and so I dare say that if you are a single principled person, that's about the widest category I can think of. You are a single person who's principled, Adventist or not. You're going to have some similar needs. May not be the same, but you're going to have some similar needs, and those will include Adventists.
Mm-hmm.
I would approach it that way.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? Do you all, I know Pastor Kim, you just joined us back, but the question is, and with the misconceptions around singleness, that if you are single, you must be miserable, that singleness is some sort of a curse. Leo mentioned that he definitely views singleness as a gift. Do you feel like the needs of single individuals in light of these misconceptions are unique, are different? And if so, in what way? Or do you feel like despite our relationship status, the needs are pretty much the same?
Yeah, I would say that our needs are pretty much the same, whether you're single or married. I desire companionship just like a married person does. I may find companionship in other spaces and in other ways, but the same needs that anybody else has, I also have as well. It's just a matter of how I find, how I fulfill those needs, how I fulfill those desires, depending on what's going on. Now, Ricardo did say some singles are miserable. Yes, that is true. But I feel like that is more so a mindset that you bring to the table. You know, it's a choice in how we approach life, how we approach our relationships, how we approach our friendships, how we approach whatever we're, putting our mind to. It's really about your mindset. So I think it's really up to you how you decide how to live out your life.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about the thought that some singles are miserable? I feel like people are miserable, right? There are a lot of married people who are very miserable. There are a lot of divorced or widowed people. You know, they're just people that are miserable. So I don't know that misery is a characteristic of single people, but maybe so. Maybe we're just kind of all miserable because of humanity. Who knows? So, do you want? This is a question that I have though around the unique needs that single individuals have. As adult singles, are you all looking to the church to provide or meet those needs, provide resources or supports for you? Or the church doesn't really come to mind when you think about your needs as a single individual? What role should the church play for single individuals, if any?
Oof.
Well, I what I've noticed is the church generally stay in their lane. Um, I've noticed that. Let's talk about. This is my observation. So we might have the individuals, couples, or not necessarily a couple, but more so one of the two, where they're pressing you. When are you getting married? Don't you see you're getting old? When you're having kids, by the time you have kids, you know you're not going to be able to play with them, so on and so forth. And my observation is generally people who are pressing singles like that, they're generally miserable in their own marriage. I have observed that, and I've observed even that marriage don't last the test of time. They end up divorced. So, as far as the church, I wish the church played a more active role in the singles in the church, but unfortunately, they usually stay in their lane. They do not particularly get involved to help, but they will chastise when they're ready. They will criticize.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
I feel that church should be a great place to meet people. I feel like there should be more opportunities for getting to know people in safe spaces. I think what happens is though, church, you know, if I especially as a pastor, God forbid, I bring a guy to potluck to meet my church family. You know, I want you to interact with my brothers and sisters in Christ. Can't do that. Can't. Won't do it until I know for sure that we are serious. But you know, like that, I feel like that's a problem that needs to. I don't know how that could be fixed, because I need. It would be great if church families were more open to the fact that I'm dating. You know, like I date guys. Like I date multiple people, and so it's okay. I wish that it would be okay for single people to bring Bob to church one Sabbath, and then maybe like 2 weeks later they bring another. You know what I'm saying? But that's like,
Yes.
you cannot. Don't you dare bring anybody around church folk until you're serious and you know that it's like about to be a real thing. Because if not, it's going to be, who's that? Who is he? Who's she talking to? Who's the pastor talking to? Wasn't she just with another guy a couple weeks ago? First of all, you know what I'm saying? Like, I need y'all to calm down.
So when we talk about church, what exactly are we talking about? Because I feel that we think the terms are interchangeable between church organization and church people, and the two are not synonymous.
Yeah.
So when I bring someone and they're criticized, that's not the church organization, right? I, as pastor, have nothing to do with that. I promise you, I didn't even notice you bought somebody that Sabbath. But Sister Sam and her crew may have approached you. And you might interpret that as church when that is church people. And so that there can be some confusion there, and unfortunately, church people have been representative of church for far too long. When we say what should church people provide, well, they're going to provide their human imperfections, which means they're going to provide the gossip, they're going to provide the criticism, they're going to provide all the foolishness that you can possibly contain and some more, because that's just what church people do. That's what people do. We specialize in that. Church as organization can provide some assistance in tools, biblical principles, guidance. But even then, how many categories can one organization actually effectively dive into? Home Depot can only sell but so many things. Walmart can't give you everything. It can give you a lot, but it can't give you everything. We're expecting church to provide more variety than Walmart does. So I might have to go to the community clinician as opposed to the pastor, because Walmart can only provide but so much. Well, we want church to be a one-stop shop. So there are a lot of terms here that we kind of confuse traditionally, and they end up fostering a lot of frustration.
Okay, can I jump in?
Absolutely.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, but the where church hurt comes in, as Pastor rightly says, is a lot of us can't necessarily differentiate, because some of the people who are basically saying hurtful things are people in position.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're basically the elders of the church, or maybe someone who basically helped that church get established.
Mm-hmm.
So when they speak, their words have weight. It has
Because
volume.
it feels like the force of the church.
Words, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm loving what I'm hearing, and it sounds like we're just saying that we want church people to give us some room to just kind of be. Just give us some room to do our thing without the feedback, without the constant critique, and feeling like we're under a microscope. Because being single comes with a whole lot of ebbs and flow that is not really limited to just the church space. So what, like Kim said, when you see me pull up with a couple different guys, just mind your business and let me do my thing. Let me do my thing.
Can people mind their business? I mean, and so this is what we're getting to, is like we're assigning qualities to human beings, like stay in your lane. Well, since when have human beings done that? Be kind, be nice, give me room to grow. Don't be nosy. I mean, really? That's probably why they're here, is because they're really bad at doing all the good stuff.
I mean, I'm all for accountability. I'm all for accountability. But when accountability turns into judgment, and creating narratives that are not true, that are simply not true, I think that's where it becomes a problem, where you're kind of inserting yourself into my life in ways that I didn't ask you to, and creating stories around my love life that are just not right. They're unfounded, So I think that's the concern. I'm all for community, and part of being in community is, yes, you can be in my business to an extent, because we're holding each other accountable. But what we're not going to do, though, you're not going to assume that I'm sleeping around because I decided to bring Tom, Dick, and Harry to potluck. You know what I'm saying? Like that's when I think it becomes a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes, and I don't know if you all have had similar experiences, but it feels like because you are single, your life is just an open box. There doesn't seem to be the same level of boundaries that singles are afforded. I think from just what I have observed, when I look at my friends who are my same age, who are married, church individuals seem to have a certain level of respect and boundaries in certain questions or comments. But because I am single, it's kind of like everything is open and free, and I can say what I want, do what I want. And so I think it's really important for church individuals to know that, you know, whether you are single or not, you know, we still require a level of respect, a level of boundaries, and certainly the level in which you are invited into someone else's life should be mutual permission, right? I want to shift gears a little bit around this topic, because we know that, you know, everyone is in a different place in their single journey. Some individuals are dating, some individuals are actively looking, interested in meeting people. Some individuals don't really want to meet someone. They don't want to be married. They don't want to have children. They are satisfied with a life of just kind of individuality and doing and achieving and accomplishing their goals. For those of you on the panel who are dating or looking or in that frame, we have been in quarantine for about 5 to 6 months.
Wait, Gamal, why are you dying?
So, what has singleness in quarantine looked like for you guys? Has it been good? Has it been fun? Has it been tough? What has it been like?
The first word that comes to mind for me is creative. I've had to be creative with getting to know people. Can't usually utilize the typical modes of communicating and, you know, going out and stuff. So a lot of FaceTiming, a lot of texting, just kind of shifting the way you get to know people, for sure.
Okay.
So the word that comes to mind for me is basic. Right? There are a lot of the bells and whistles that we usually associate with dating that have been absent through no fault of our own. Okay? So the average cost automatically went down to zero because everything is closed. Okay, so we can't go anywhere. We're going to have to just talk. A lot of the rules went out of the window because we can't abide by the rules because we're under stay-at-home orders. We have to go back to the basics. And so before God made the Cheesecake Factory, and before the evolution of WhatsApp and Instagram, how did people date? We've kind of had to go back to a lot of that because we've been forced to go back to a lot of that. Now, it remains to be seen whether the quality of these relationships are somehow different or better as a result of the bells and whistles being taken away. But I do know that dating has taken on, for me, a more basic quality of let's talk, let's have a conversation. Are you available or am I available? Hit the FaceTime button because that's all that's available. And it may be that it's a good thing.
Okay. I hadn't thought of it in that way of going back to the basics, but this is an interesting perspective. Okay. Leo, any input there? Oh, Kim, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I was going to bring up your Rona room. You had to, that's another creative outlet, was creating virtual spaces to meet people online. That was fun and that was different. And in a way, I think it still goes back to the basics, like Gamal was talking about, because all we literally could do was talk and converse. There wasn't much else you could do. I mean, if you want to get creative, I see somebody was like, y'all can't send flowers. I mean, I suppose he could mail me flowers, I guess. I suppose he could buy my Uber Eats meal that we share together. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess there's creative elements that you can bring into the dating space, but at the bare minimum, it's just a lot more conversing and getting to know without the superficial. I noticed that some girls probably put a whole lot of makeup on for a FaceTime. I'm like, you're gonna just catch me. You're gonna catch me how you see me. You know what I mean? Like I guess that in some ways is a plus. You get what you see what you're gonna get.
Here's my question about being in quarantine, wanting to meet people, feeling frustrated. For the ladies, for Kim, are you on team slide in a DM? And for the fellas, are you all okay with ladies sliding in your DMs? Like, are you good with that? Do you embrace that?
I've met some great quality guys in the DMs. And I've also met some crazies, but I've met some great guys too.
I don't see why it would be a problem. Once again, I'm if this season gives us nothing else, it gives us a perspective that has a lot of the stuff stripped away, right? So you have the 13 unspoken rules about how to start a friendship on Instagram, right? Thou shalt not slide in DMs after. So, okay, fine. It's quarantine now. So how are you going to start a conversation? Are you going to stare at the picture and telepathically wish that they reach out? Or B, are you going to send a message? It really just got simple. And I like the fact that it's getting simple. If you want to talk, say hi. If somebody says hello, it doesn't mean a proposal. It just got simple, and I'm really digging the fact that it's getting simple. I mean, you want to talk? Hello, how you doing? Nice to meet you. It's fine with me.
All right, ladies, you all hear that? For those who are watching.
Yeah. Let me add something as well. Going back to your first question, you asked for a word, and I would say global, because we're using Zoom or whatever software we want you to communicate on. There's no different to talking with somebody because we're under quarantine who is in England as opposed to somebody who is down the road. So it's really global. Now, what I also like is, and maybe it's just me, but I see where women they're posting daily, they are doing challenges, they're showing their cooking skills, they're showing their gardening, they're singing, they're having Bible study, so that is not going to, our quarantine is not going to quarantine their gifts. They're not going to quarantine, their talents. Now moving on to the DMs, I welcome it. I welcome it.
Now.
And it's safe. I think because women generally do not approach men. Or let me speak for myself. They generally don't approach me. They probably approach Pastor, but they generally don't. But and I get it because of rejection. And it's typically conventionally men are the one that do the approaching. But I believe the DM is very safe. It's very safe, and a lot of women, I think it would be more conducive for them to do it that way.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go, because I'm shifting to a different question.
I'm looking at the comments. Somebody said men like it easy. Even with this simplified way of communicating, I still think that creativity and intentionality is needed in this season. So I'm just gonna help y'all out here a little bit, gentlemen. If I see one more WYD coming through my DMs,
no more Jesus.
I'm not responding. I'm not responding. Stop it! Oh my gosh! What is up with that? Please, just eradicate it from your list of things to say to a woman. Stop asking me what I'm doing. On top of that, I'm an introvert. Like I have no time or mental energy to address So stop. So there definitely needs to be creativity and intentionality in the conversations that are happening in the DMs, in the text messages, via FaceTime, all of it. Like, I think there does take another level of communication skills.
I love that point, though, Kim. I love that point because we jumped from I'm not buying her a bunch of stuff, I'm not whisking her away, to men like it easy, right? And what we missed was the wide variety of soft skills that need to be employed between Ruth Chris and just hookup, Netflix and chill. There's a wide variety. People don't know how to have and sustain a conversation anymore, right? That in and of itself is a skill. I mean, okay, yes, you can send her flowers, or you can you can get a book of questions and figure out some ways how to ask her about her day beside how was your day. Like, I mean, there are different ways of going about it that require us to go back to the basics. And that's one of the things I love about this, is that maybe we as a culture will get to develop some of those soft skills that we couldn't necessarily exercise when I'm stuffing my face, you're stuffing your face, there's a waiter and a table between us and a barrier, and I'm just waiting. I'm texting on my phone through half the day, and you're texting on your phone and posting on Instagram, and we're just going to say goodnight and go home and do it all over again, and then decide to marry each other. Maybe we'll learn how to talk to each other. Maybe we'll learn how to figure out who the person is in front of me, and actually try to figure out who are we compatible? Do we even like each other? Is this person funny? Do I find this person annoying? Those soft skills are going to be invaluable, and man, I'm looking forward to seeing us develop them.
Yeah, those are really great points. And to make a plug for someone who might need that help, the New York Times did an article on 36 questions that you can ask on a date. I mean, you can even contact Pastor Gamal and hire him to help you tell your story of who you are as a person, because these are skills that you need in dating. Talking about non-traditional approaches to dating, what do you all think is the best way for singles to date? You know, historically, they tell us get to know one person at a time. It's really been relationship driven. And I feel really strongly about how we have been taught to date versus what I feel like is just a much more fun, more effective way to date. Do you all believe in dating a couple different people at the same time? How do you maintain emotional boundaries? Where do you meet people? I see someone says besides the DMs, how else can you meet someone? So what sorts of ways do you approach dating? Are you doing it one-on-one, one at a time, or is it best to kind of spread it around and get to know a couple different people?
I believe in generalizing before specializing.
All right now.
Glory be to God.
Yeah. But I believe
that's even academic, right? You have to take your general courses before you specialize your degree.
Right. So it's you know, it's kind of like, you know, you basically are taking out or narrowing down or refining the one. And of course, it has to be done with honor and integrity. And I can understand why a lot of women are opposed to it. And because, you know, there have been men that have unfortunately abused their trust and have been unfaithful. So I can understand that. But a lot of women, even though you're upfront, like, hey, I'm getting to know you, but I'm also getting to know other people. And you should do likewise. You should encourage them to do the same. But a lot of women I have encountered, they're not they're like, no, either like, no, I won't do that, or no, I'm fine. You know, they have an issue with that.
As a woman, men have issue with that as well, and women for that matter. But I have definitely over the last couple years have evolved into this space of dating multiple people at the same time, and as a woman of God, and it's been awesome. Yeah, I just want to throw that in there. Top Candy, dating is getting to know people, collecting information about people, having fun,
Yes.
having fun, flirty fun to the glory of God.
Yes.
It's not acting like you're my brother, I'm your sister. No, there's an acknowledged attraction, you know what I'm saying? But we are getting to know each other with the understanding that at the end of the day, the bottom line is that I'm bringing value to your life and you're bringing value to my life. And if it doesn't work out, it's okay, because value has been shared. And you may not be my future husband, but you might be my future finance coach. You might be somebody that helps me learn how to be a better cook. You might be somebody that puts me on to some new books that I need to read. Like, you're bringing value to my life in some way. And even if it doesn't work out, then we're able to move on with minimal emotional damage because there are boundaries in place, and it's just so much better, much less stressful. And as a woman, I find that it helps me to do a better job at evaluating the guy, you know, as opposed to throwing all my eggs into this one basket and praying to God that it works, because I've invested so much of my time and my energy and my resources. Whereas if I'm spreading it out and I'm just talking to Leo on Monday, and I talk to Gamal on Tuesday, and I talk to the next guy on Wednesday, then it's like, it's less pressure, it's more fun, it's not as dramatic. And if things progress to the next level, then they progress to the next level, but there's no pressure. Much better than what I was taught. I wish I'd done this sooner.
So, recently found a gym I could sneak into out here, because they're all supposed to be closed. But I found a gym we could sneak into and go lift some weights. And man, I was so disappointed. I got up under the bar trying to do what I usually do, and it's just all gone because quarantine took it. And so here I am trying to get to where I want to be, and I'm disappointed, and I'm realizing that I got to go through a process. And the process is no way around the soreness. There's no way around getting, it's just the pain. It's just no way. Lifting is lifting. It just is what it is. And the only way to get to where I'm gonna go is to be that. I can call the process wherever I want. I can try to hack it. I can try, but you know what? The bar don't lie. I feel like what I do in the gym, we often try to do in life and in relationships in particular. I've heard of the Never Dating Again movement. I've heard of different movements around this idea that I can circumvent the process, right? And I know what people are trying to do. They're trying to say, okay, I want to avoid never getting hurt, right? I want to bench 315 and never get sore. Like I'm gonna get my strength back. I'm gonna get up under that bar. It's gonna be one shot and I'm good because God's gonna send it. And God doesn't work that way. He respects the process. Yes, dating, starting at the beginning, is a part of the process. You've got to meet people, and you got to have to meet more than one person in order to get your person. How do we navigate that process responsibly? How do we minimize the damage because we can't eliminate it? Those are all valuable, valid questions. But the fact of the matter is, the Lord is not going to Amazon Prime you your spouse. You're going to have to go through the process. You're going to have to start at 135. You're going to lift 3 times a week. every week till you get back to 350. It's just no way around it. Unfortunately, it is what it is. So it's not a question of whether I like it or not. It's a question of whether I can do it responsibly, because it has to get done. You had to talk to somebody, and the person you talk to might not be the one. So you got to talk to somebody else. And that is just going to keep happening that way till you find your spouse. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, I really like, and I really want to echo Kim mentioned before around this new approach to dating, and seeing value in connections, whether or not it leads to the altar or not. Because a lot of times when we approach dating, we're so marriage minded. The goal is just to get married that we miss the entire experience. And whether or not a dating connection turns out to be a relationship, turns out to be marriage or not, there's still value that you can pull out of that. And I think it's the same thing for exclusive relationships, right? Like, you can be with someone for a year, you both decide that, this is not working. Well, there's still a way to break up in a healthy way, in a happy way, in a way that still pulls value out of the experience, whether or not you made it to the altar. And because of how the church talks about dating and singleness, it's always, if you don't make it to marriage, then it's a failure, then you have failed, you are broken, and it was a waste of your time. And I really, really want to encourage us to reframe that sort of thinking so that all of our connections can be seen and we can leave those spaces with value. I'll ask you all this. It's all a part of the process.
Every workout is not going to be beast mode. That's exactly all right. You're going to have to just put in the work. You got to show up at the gym on Tuesday, and you got to get back under the bar and lift it again. You have good days, bad days. Eventually, you're going to meet your goal, but you can't get around the process.
Right.
But there's too much unrealistic expectation, and that puts a lot of burden and pressure not only on themselves, but whoever they're expecting to all of a sudden turn around and marry them on the spot. It's not realistic.
Yeah, and it's well, go ahead, Kim.
Sorry, somebody, I think it was Martha, who said, do other guys know that you're dating them at the same time? Are you being in an open relationship? See, this. Listen, y'all. No. We got to get this clear, because I don't need y'all going back to my conference president talking about I'm in open relationships. You know what I'm saying? Oh my word! I have friends. Do you understand? Like, I have people that I'm getting to know. I am not in an open relationship with anybody.
But here's the terminology that we are used to.
Tiger King up in here, man.
Guys, take it. This is what we're talking about. Take it down a notch. I wish I could show you my phone. I have conversations with various people, getting to know them, guys and girls. I mean, guys, but we're talking about dating, so let's just stick to guys. So I don't want y'all to think. Guys, I'm talking to different, gentlemen, getting to know them. There's no pressure. There's no exclusivity.
So there's no entanglement.
There's no entanglement. No, there's none. There's not.
That's the terminology.
Right. So I just wanted to put that out there. I needed that to be clear.
That everything has to be a relationship. And so when we think about relationships, do we think of that term as an exclusive, thing immediately? Do we go to exclusivity? And so the idea of getting to know different people becomes, something that we can't wrap our minds around. You're just building friendships. You're just getting to know someone, whatever label you put on it. And there should certainly be room to do that. Let me ask you guys this, because compatibility is a term that comes up often, right? And I think it's something, whether you are just single and you're thinking about compatibility in your friendships, compatibility in dating, in your exclusive relationships, as single individuals, how do you responsibly test not just personality compatibility, but maybe even purpose compatibility, sexual compatibility, all these different important tenets of building that connection? How do you all approach that and test it safely and responsibly to know whether or not you and this person are kind of having a dope connection or are compatible?
See, so I want to actually pull you in here, Dr. Tiff, because you're Dr. Tiff, and you can actually back this up with the science behind compatibility. Now, I've been exposed to a little bit of the research, but not as much as you may have, which suggests that the idea of compatibility is actually overblown. It is actually whether or not we have certain skill sets as people that we can bring to the table versus whether we found this mythical soulmate or the lock to our key. And so you can probably flesh that out better than anybody else here because you're more familiar with the science. But I would suggest that if you're looking for quote unquote compatibility versus whether or not this person possesses certain philosophies, certain skills, certain abilities that they bring to the relationship, you're probably looking in the wrong place. I'll throw that back at you because that's your field.
Yeah, I like to say, I think compatibility on some level can be important and has its place. But I like to think about, especially in the beginning stages of dating, rather than looking at compatibility, I like to look at capacity. Does this person have the capacity to
Right.
be able to meet your needs, to be able to, support you, to be able to understand you, and provide the sort of connection, the sort of dating experience, the sort of relationship that you might be looking for? Everyone doesn't have the capacity. Some people don't have the capacity, but they can learn how. They can increase their skill set to become the type of partner, the type of connection, the type of friend that you might be looking for. I think this conversation comes up a lot around the topic of sex, and I know we got in a lot of trouble on that topic the last time. But a lot of times people get caught up in, if I choose abstinence, if I choose celibacy, if I choose not to have sex before marriage, how would I know that this person is a good like we are sexually compatible? Or versus if I have a lot of sexual experiences, does that mean that now I'm just compatible with anyone? Well, we know that it's about what you create together, what you build together, being able to communicate, being able to express your needs, being able to express what you desire. I'll just pause here to be very clear that I am not promoting going and having sex. That is not what I'm doing. I'm just saying and using sex as an example. And so it's the same thing in dating or relationships. It's about the communication. It's about can I build capacity to meet this person's need? What do I need to do to increase my skill set so that we can have a positive interaction, a positive relationship, and one that's fulfilling? So that's kind of how I think about it when I think about compatibility versus capacity. Any other thoughts around, let's just talk about maybe building intimacy, because these are all important aspects of getting to know someone, of dating, being in exclusive relationships. How can we do that safely? How can we do that in a way that protects and is safe? And then I really, really want to get to, actually, let's just skip to this other topic, because I think this is a really important one to end on before we start taking some questions. There is a recent video that came out, a music video. I'm not going to name it, but I mean, it's been a hot topic everywhere. And I think central in this video that has gotten a lot of feedback is around women's empowerment, how women embrace their sexuality or find freedom in ways to, Pastor Kim has her ministry, love God and love sex, love themselves and love sex, and still maintain boundaries and integrity. And particularly
macaroni and cheese. Yeah, macaroni and cheese. And a bucket in the mop.
What I also found really important in this video was, the line of I don't cook, I don't clean, and I still got the ring, which is very counter to what we have been taught as women of, what it means to be considered a woman worth marriage. So any reflections or thoughts around how do you encourage Christian women to embrace, their sexuality in a way that honors their relationship with God, that sets boundaries, and as men, How do you feel about that? A woman kind of stepping into that empowered role.
So I have the misfortune of hearing something and then memorizing it. Right. So it works when I'm speaking, but it works when I'm coaching, but it doesn't work in other areas. So I've got the lyrics on a reel in my head because I heard it and I just can't get it out. It's kind of how my brain works. Uh, so they are both very empowered in the now I will hasten to say while we're joking that there is some distinction to be made here. Let me hasten to say that yes, there's empowerment and then there is principle, right? So you take that for what it's worth. At the same time, I don't see how a man who wants to enjoy his partner wants a partner who does not enjoy what he wants to enjoy with her. All right, that doesn't make any sense. So, gentlemen, you while every lyric in the song may not line up with what you want your daughters to believe, the general idea of a woman in not only feeling empowered but enjoying sex that is something that you ought to get behind 100%. You don't want to have to drag somebody kicking and screaming into the bedroom every time because they're engaged in something that's a chore for them. I don't see how that makes any sense at all.
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree. Go ahead.
No, I didn't watch the video. But from what I gather from the conversation, the woman doesn't cook, she doesn't clean, and she doesn't. In other words, she's not domesticated, right? And that's empowerment. Well, the elite have been doing it for centuries. A lot of women who are wealthy and well-to-do, they, if you remember Paris Hilton, she doesn't know how to do her own laundry, and and there's no shortage of men trying to marry her. So I think it's more or less the common man. That's his struggle.
Yeah. It's interesting that you put that you mentioned that because I'm all about women doing what you need to do to live your best life, and if that means hiring somebody to help you with getting some stuff done, I don't think there should be any shame in that at all. But I haven't watched the song yet either. I maybe I will eventually, but from what I'm hearing, from what I'm gathering, context clues, it's about empowering women's sexuality. Tiff, that's what's it's about.
Yep.
I haven't watched it yet, so okay, I haven't watched it yet, so I'm not going to necessarily co-sign all the way. But apart from the video, I'm definitely all for empowering women to embrace their sexuality fully, regardless of where they are on their relationship spectrum, whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're divorced, whether you're widowed, you're always going to have your sexuality. That's always going to be a part of who you are. And I think as church women, as women of faith, it is high time for us to stop minimizing, stop repressing, stop ignoring our sexuality in the name of trying to be holy. I feel like your sexuality and your spirituality can take up space. It can be married to each other. They don't have to be divorced. They don't have to be separate. And I think that embracing your sexuality as a woman of faith is all about honoring, celebrating, acknowledging, really just living into all that God has created you to be as a woman of God, and not dialing yourself down, not, taking it down a couple notches, not hiding, obviously, and whatever that looks like for you as a woman of faith is between you and God as the Spirit leads you, definitely. But Okay, Pastor Myron, he said the song is not about empowerment. It's about exploitation of women's sexuality for money. It is disgraceful. I have not seen it. Mentor. I have not seen it, Mentor. I have not. Okay, but I'm just going off what I was
So
told.
now, what I will say to that is there are many women who will disagree with it.
Correct.
So
Because we've been talking about it in our group, and that's not the vibe I'm getting at all.
And
I guess I may have to go watch it.
This is why I brought it up, because I think it's really important for us to discuss. There are many women who feel empowered by that video versus now we have a man, and not just Pastor Myron. There's been a lot of men who have their own perspective on what the video represents. There are men that I also spoke to about the video who feel like it's a video of empowerment. So we're not adding or saying what we perceive the video to be. I just think it's very important. It's interesting that women are feeling empowered by a video and men are calling it another thing, which I think ties into the larger conversation around women's sexuality, when women kind of stand in that and require and request and state whatever it is they desire amongst the sexes. There are interesting reflections and thoughts about that. So
I'm looking up the lyrics. I'm going to read the lyrics while y'all talk.
You are not. Oh, I thought you were going to read it out loud.
I will not read it.
You could read it out loud. I watched the video and I watched it with the lyrics, and I will say this. So remember, I began my remarks by saying there is empowerment and there is principle, right? And those two are not always synonymous, right? And so because something makes you feel good doesn't necessarily mean that those lyrics are going to all line up with biblical principle. If you read those lyrics through, yes, they are not all going to line up with biblical principle. As a matter of fact, I don't necessarily want my daughters to see sex as a bartering tool. Okay, and that is the whole concept of, well, I get all I can from this. Well, that's not empowering, nor is it new. It's the world's oldest profession. That's all that it is. But I can see where there are those who are taking the idea from the video that it's okay for me to take some of the boundaries off. And I do know that as a church, we have done a great job of piling the boundaries on, right? So we have really tightened those boundaries when it comes to sex and sexuality, especially with women. And so I can see where a song that takes some of the boundaries off is going to be welcome, even if all those lyrics don't line up. I can see where that comes from.
Yeah, it's been very interesting to hear in some of the spaces that I'm in outside of Christian spaces, women state that historically women have not had agency over their own bodies, over their own sexuality and their own sexual experiences.
Right.
In fact, just looking in hip hop and different types of music, men have always positioned women. We know Black women have always been sexualized, and you know, it's always been like that. So there are women who are saying, to see women take back some of that agency is empowering. And so there are a lot of different perspectives on how women seek to kind of regain agency over themselves and over their bodies. I want us to shift to take some questions. I see a lot of questions around compatibility versus capacity. Is it the same thing? To clarify where the difference can lie, when we go into connecting with someone or meeting or getting to know someone, we immediately look for compatibility. Capacity views those same connections as a growth opportunity, as something that can build and happen over time. And so even though there are certain similarities, there's still a difference in how we approach and view those connections. So I just wanted to clarify that, as I saw that come up a couple different times.
I mean, if you if you walk into a restaurant, you're going to enjoy some Indian food. Technically, you are compatible with everybody in that restaurant. You all like the same thing. However, maybe none of those people in that restaurant have the capacity to communicate, the capacity are emotionally available, have the capacity to love you. And so it's got to go beyond you like the Mets, I like the Mets. You like Indian, I like Indian. You're a morning person, I'm a morning person. We can both be morning people and we can still not know how to talk to each other.
Right. It's a great example. There's another question here I'll throw out to you all. Is getting to know someone the same as dating?
I think you can get to know somebody and date them at the same time. Because for me, dating is just I like you, you like me. Let's hang out. Let's go do something. You take me somewhere, and I'm getting to know you, and I could do that with more than one person. Dating doesn't have to necessarily mean we're holding hands, we're kissing up, we're doing all that kind of stuff. It's just I'm going on a date.
Yeah, everyone is not on the same page when it comes to the definition of dating.
No.
Yeah. So like Pastor Kim has stated before, it's a getting to know you. It's collecting data. But for some, it's the beginning to I do. From that moment you exchange number. Some are very futuristic, and others are like in the here and now. Okay, I like her, and or some other. Okay, I think she's gonna be my wife. So I think we need to be realistic. As I look through the questions in terms of generalization to going from generalizing to specializing, a lot of people, and with other topics we have covered, a lot of people do not know what it looks like. And I think that's the main struggle people have. It sounds good, but what does it look like in practical terms? And I would like to share an experience as far as generalizing to specializing, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
All right. So I dated this young lady, right? And we're from the same background, went to rival high schools, what have you, and we were introduced by a friend, and we connected. Unfortunately, I decided that it's not going to work out, and she was a bit distraught. But the thing I liked about her was she wasn't jaded, and I explained, I communicated, what have you. So then I was facilitating a singles potluck, because actually there was a guy that I thought that, she might be interested in. So I invited her to the potluck. I invited the guy. However, she wasn't interested in the guy, but the guy was interested in her. And so my friend, he said to me, Leo, I like her, could you talk to her for me? He already knew that I took her out and we dated, but he also knows how I operate. So that wasn't an issue. It wasn't an issue. Oh, okay. Was there intimacy or what have you? Yeah, there was some emotional connection, but after you reach a point when you realize that this is not going to work, you have to be mature enough to say, hey, we cannot go any further. This is what it is. And we remain friends. She wasn't necessarily impressed by him, but, I gave her the song and dance and everything and sold him. And now they're married. I was one of the groomsmen in the wedding, and I'm now the godfather to one of their children. So that's basically how it looks like. But not everybody has that emotional capacity, because some might feel like, well, he rejected me or she rejected me. We can't be friends, and become salty and sour. And that's not a way to live. For you to really do this right, you have to be a mature person. You have to know who you are and what you want and what you're about.
So, you guys familiar with Hamilton? The musical. There's a song in there about Alexander Hamilton. It's entitled "Nonstop." Why do you write like you're running out of time? Write day and night like you're running out of time. there's that scarcity mindset with which we approach dating often that muddies the waters here. And so, I can't really holler because I'm running out of time, and so I got to stick with you because I'm running out of time. And the fact of the matter is, I may want my summer body next week, but it's going to take as long as it's going to take. And Lord knows if I could get it next week. If you just told me stay in the gym for 72 hours straight and you get the summer body next week, I'll do it. Okay. But the fact of the matter is, what I will do is kill myself. Okay. Because it's going to take as long as it's going to take. And that, because of a wide range of concerns, is difficult to accept. I so want to that the next one be the one, and that from the time I look into her eyes across the room, I know, and something clicks, and we just go on this magic carpet ride like Aladdin, and I sing a whole new world, and we just end up at the altar. That's not the process. Life doesn't work like that. And I don't know whether to blame Disney, whether to blame the church, I don't know who's responsible for this.
Everybody,
I guess. But what I do know is that people are missing out on the journey because they're so fixated on the destination. We can't teleport there. You got to drive. And so you're going to have some exes, and that's going to sting a little bit. And once again, if we can do it responsibly, if we can manage the pain so that it's not debilitating, if we can get through and respect the process, we'll be the better for it. But the more you try to short circuit or circumvent that process, guess what? Because it's going to take as long as it's going to take, you might find yourself at step one longer than if you had respected the process. It's just the way it is.
There's another, that's you laid it out real well. There's another question here that says, we always talk about women's roles and what women have to do, but we rarely talk about male responsibility. For the men that's here, do you feel like as single men I feel like single women have always kind of been groomed for how you're supposed to take care of your man, take care of your kids, take care of your family from the time you're very young. Do you feel like men have that same teaching and training on what their responsibility or how they even engage women should be like? And if not, then how are you learning and what are men doing?
I know I didn't. So, I mean, I can say my piece and get out the way and let Leo take it. But the answer for me was no. I had to figure it out. And I can speak for I can't speak for every man, but my personal experience is there was this oh crap moment when you finally meet somebody with whom there might be a future. You say, oh crap, I got to get ready because who has taught me to date, how to be, who's groomed me like she's been groomed. I wish there was more mentoring in that regard. I wish there was more teaching in that regard. I don't know what the answer is. So my brother, jump in. I can simply say, no, it's not happening. I'd love some solutions.
I think that men and women, boys and girls, I think most women know the expectation to be a wife, and it's narrow. As far as for boys to be a husband, I think that's more broad, so the expectation for men or boys in becoming men to becoming husband, there are many and several paths. But for girls to become women, to become wives, it's I won't say one, but it's not as much as men. It's very narrow.
So we have just about 4 more minutes to go. I think that's that's certainly, I think, a conversation to really parse
Sure.
out so much more, and a really good way for us to transition. And hopefully, the Allegheny East ministries will be able to pick that up as a topic around the socialization of boys and girls and what that translates to as we all kind of grow and connect with each other. That piece is going to be really important. So why don't we end off on this? Why don't you all drop something in the space for single individuals? What's one thing that you want to encourage young Christian singles, older Christian singles, wherever you are in your journey, about singleness as they continue to navigate that space?
I would say that if you desire more, that's okay. But your desire for more should not hinder what's happening in your life right now. So enjoy where you are, enjoy the season. Yes, desire for something that, a relationship, marriage, that's fine too, but not to the point that it impedes what you're able to enjoy in your now season.
For me, I'm looking at a teenager on the other side of my computer that's almost as tall as I am. And I can remember when I used to hold her in one hand like a football and walk around the house. And she's teaching me a valuable lesson about process and about time and about life. And that is, if you blink too fast, it can all be gone. Yes, I know the destination may be marriage. Yes, I know the destination may be your dream, but you better enjoy that journey, and you better be present for every moment of that journey, the ups and the downs, because you don't know where you'll actually end up. God may not take you where you plan to go. So the dream in your head may not be your destination. He knows the plans he has for you. And then you can be so fixated on getting there like you're running out of time that you can take your eyes off the journey, blink, and by the time you catch yourself, you realize you're actually out of time and you missed the whole thing. Enjoy, respect the process, enjoy the journey.
Yes.
I like that.
I would like to add as well, and definitely enjoy the journey. Form relationships, opposite gender, not even just the opposite gender, but even different age categories, young, in the middle, old, or seasoned. Be forgiving when you mess up, or when others mess up, and as well as just maneuver this as though it's not it's maneuver life with an attitude that it's not going to end bad, because there are not many people who are optimistic. So just remain positive.
You guys have dropped some really, really great nuggets. I'll just add to that by saying, be open, be willing to unlearn and learn new ways to do this thing. I love the emphasis on the process and the journey, and that's really what singlehood is about. Wherever you are, whatever stage you are in, life can be fulfilling and beautiful and satisfying, whether you're single, married, divorced, widowed, wherever you are.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you all so much for joining us for this conversation. And we are going to hand it right back over to Pastor Dr. Defoe, who is the Relationship Ministries leader at the Allegheny East Conference.
Listen, I want to just thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And for those of you that are watching, we're going to make sure that we continue to do this, continue to at least provide the space where we can have open and honest dialogue and conversation. Dr. Llewellyn, I want to thank you for moderating. Gamal, yeah, excellent job. Gamal, I want to thank you. My friend Kim, I want to thank you. I know you got to run. Leo, I want to also thank you as well for jumping in. And then I want to let you all know that we will continue these discussions. And then I want to thank you all for those singles that are watching. You can also go back and watch the first episode of this Unfiltered series, and we'll make sure that we bring our panelists back. I enjoyed this. I want to thank you all for coming. Pastor Alexander, if you would hold on for me, I want you to just pray for us before we go. But I just want to just share with you all, the Relationship Ministries Department will be taking some time off for the next couple of weeks. But I wanted to let you all know or remind you that September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And so there are comprehensive resources that we've provided for suicide prevention. We'll also have a very special suicide prevention chat on the 8th of September. And so, or not the 8th, the 12th of September. So I want to let you all know that. We're also going to continue our men's discussion on the 19th of September. So please also bear that in mind. And then this is a very good resource for those of you who have children. Guardrails for Parents, the youth and children's department is having a discussion, a series that they're starting, Guardrails for Parents, beginning on Sunday. If you go to the conference's website and you click on the Youth and Children's Ministries Department, you'll be able to log in, or you'll be able to get the login for this very important webinar. Listen, I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart again for coming. And then Pastor Alexander, if you don't mind, if you would just pray to close us out, and that will be it for the day.
Sure. Let's pray together. So, Heavenly Father, we commit ourselves to you. You who are well aware of our needs, our wants, our desires, and you who have promised to withhold no good thing from those who walk uprightly. God, we trust you. We ask that you would give us the desires of our heart, if it be according to your will. And Lord, as we wait on you, help us to enjoy the rest that comes with waiting. Father, we trust you, we thank you, and we look forward to you not only blessing us with fulfillment down here, but we also look forward to the blessing of an eternity with you. We thank you for hearing this and all our prayers, and we offer this in Jesus' name. Amen and amen.